meeting, and the first item on our agenda is to meet with the Agricultural Commission. Teresa Sauer, come on up.
It's me.
And
Hi.
as I understand it, is this going to be your last presentation?
Oh yes, that's for sure.
Well, we will
seem
miss you.
abnormally excited about that.
Oh, that's right. I know I'm leaving it in good hands.
So you're
Thank you.
just stepping down or getting out of town?
We're moving out of the country. Yeah.
Oh,
New Zealand.
Oh, that's really exciting.
Well, eventually New Zealand.
Oh, that's
We'll see.
exciting.
Well, thanks for everything you do for the job. We're going to miss you.
Thank you.
All right, so what we had was just the regular budget request, but it looks like you just handed us out some more details. So do you want to just run through it?
Well, that's what, in the past I've added the detail to the other page, but then you guys don't get it, and so I just didn't do it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after lots of discussion, we want to continue to help supplement the Bolton Fair, you know, the biggest agricultural thing that happens around here, and a lot of Bolton 4-H'ers are involved in it. We've decided we'd like to try to do something with children, particularly this library presentation. We're still working on exactly what it's going to be, but something at the library with kids, some sort of event. Central Mass Grown is the biggest ag organization here that markets for farms. They come out with a map and a flyer every summer, and they get distributed all over. There's a couple of farms in town that are part of it, so we like to support them. Library books, we're doing that this year. You know, library only has so much money, and agriculture is not necessarily where they're going to spend their money. But there are both popular books and actual gardening, or you know, ones that ones that, to supplement what they have is what it comes down to. And we're really liking what we're finding that they don't have, that we think is going to be really popular.
have we had books in, as a line item here before?
Yes, we did the same thing last year, and we've been working with Kelly about what to order.
Yeah.
The brochures, so this year we actually updated both of our brochures, and so we're going to need to do a big printing of both of them for the future. And then promotional materials. So we did this last year, we had a little bit of money left over, and we did, I was going to bring you guys, stickers and magnets. So car magnets and refrigerator magnets, and very popular. We did the 3 days of the Backyard Bolton. We had an AgCom tent and manned that and put stickers on all the kids. They loved it, and really actually got a lot of conversation going about what is the AgCom and why the AgCom and why it's important. So we feel like that was a really good thing to be involved in.
So Backyard Bolton was that like a partnership between you and EDC? Or?
No, EDC organized it, and we just wanted to lend our support and be there and, you know, engage people.
And they're doing it again,
place.
right?
As far as I know, they are. I haven't actually heard for sure,
Yeah.
but I heard they were gonna. So it was very popular. So yeah.
Okay. I just want to note that what we asked everybody to do was to level fund, and this was level funded, which we appreciate. I have no questions, but I don't know if other people do.
It's pretty straightforward.
If we get to the end of the year and we're searching for $200,
We'll let you know.
we'll let you know, because the library has adequate money. I mean, 17.5% of their budget is for books.
Right.
And there's
only
only $200.
So many places they can put it. And our view of what books we'd really like to see people engaged in is not necessarily how they view it. They're looking for popular stuff, and we're looking for things that expand people's mind about agriculture and you know, make an impression on them. I mean, that's a huge part of what our mission is to engage people, and this is just another way for us to engage people.
I would hope they would listen to the voice of the customer, and you being the customer.
Well, you know,
Recognize that it's a relatively small audience, so
Right.
I think that they have priorities as well. So-
we're not going to do it forever, Ted. It's just a way
No,
to get some
I'm just-
supplement in there to really boost up what they have now.
I'm not, I'm just saying.
No, I
at the end of the
understand.
year,
That's how desperate we get.
If we're just that far away from where we need to get it.
If it's over $200, man, you guys, you're doing good. You're doing really good.
Well, this is helpful.
Anyone else?
I move we accept the budget as proposed for the agricultural commission.
Second.
Oh, there's a, okay, so we'll do first and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, total $1,746 approved.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I will not see you next year.
When do you get out?
Me.
Well,
Sounds like you're not going directly to Lease.
We may not. Sorry.
That's fine.
no problem.
I turned it off.
You're welcome to stay and
Embarrassing.
chat with us for 2 more minutes because the assessors aren't here yet.
Oh, I see.
Are
Because
you-
they're not here.
Are you gonna stay through town meeting or will you be gone before then?
No, probably mid-May, or mid-May, so I'll probably still be here. Hopefully we'll have somebody doing Bolton Access TV and I won't actually have to run around during town meeting.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see.
Have
We'll
you
see how it
have you
goes.
hired any?
Well, no, we're interviewing, so, yeah. Yeah, so we have an opportunity to go to South America for a while. We're looking at going to Europe and Japan. So, but we're gonna end up in New Zealand. So,
That's an exciting.
Exciting.
Those are
It
good
is
places to
very-
see, yeah.
yes, well, we're not going for short visits, we're going for
Yeah.
months worth
Yeah.
of time.
That's
Unless we
awesome.
get there and we can't stand it, and then we'll move on.
But that's the better part, you get to know it.
Yeah, that's what we really want. That's what we've always wanted to do, so.
Who's taking over as chair for the Ag Commission?
Connor will,
Okay.
yeah.
And then what's the process for filling the open seats?
That's what we are working really hard to try to find. And farmers are busy people.
Yeah.
And we've ran through all the bigger farmers in town. They've all served. They've all done their time
They don't come
and
back
served.
and do it again, you know.
Well, that's what we request, but it doesn't, you know, I mean, all the credit to them, that they've all been and done it, and so, but there are some new farmers in town, and so we're, you know, it's a little harder because they're new to town, so they're actually trying to get their feet and underneath them, and, you know, they really aren't looking to volunteer for something else, you know, so, but great way to meet people.
Is there an age requirement? I'm wondering if any, like, local young people might be interested.
So we actually, I worked with Don and Pam last year, and we have a student member.
Oh, cool.
So we actually have a position as a student member to be part of the ICOM. Because 4-H is such a big piece of getting younger people involved that we really felt like it was important. And we had Hannah King served on the committee for more than a year, but she's going off to college.
Did you hear about the 2 sisters in California who were missing for
Oh, yeah.
44 hours and they survived? And they were like 7 and 10 and they survived
5
in
and
the
8.
wilderness.
5 and 8, yeah.
Oh, 5
Yeah.
and 8 because they had 4-H
Oh,
training.
Yes.
wow. That's awesome.
I saw that in the news, I was like, wow, that is really cool, they learned to lick the leaves
The
and,
8-year-old described it as though she was 30. She was very self-possessed. Well, we did this and we licked off the
Yeah, it was
moisture off the
amazing. It
leaves.
was
There you go. See, all the more reason. Sign it up.
that's what, yeah, you need to like run that in a loop for the 4-H, you know, to
Yeah.
get members.
It was very impressive.
Did the town caucus happen yesterday, or was it postponed or something?
Yeah.
It happened.
Okay,
It was less than 10 minutes, and yes, we filmed it.
okay. I drove by it at, I don't know, 6:45, and all the lights were off and there were no cars in the parking lot, so.
It wasn't until 7:30.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
figured there'd still be somebody here.
No, it was literally 10 minutes long, 9 minutes long. Good.
Nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you,
We will miss you.
thank you.
Okay, next up on our agenda is to meet with the Board of Assessors regarding their FY20 budget. So you can all come on up.
We got 3 chairs. Yeah,
Do we? Okay.
we do.
You want me in the little chair? Okay. Got it. You know if I can hear it? Work this big chair. Look at this.
kind of, like, we were trying to figure out how to make them work too, they're kind of complicated.
Okay.
That's absolutely why they were donated.
Where's the instruction sheet?
So before we go through the details, I just want to make sure we're all kind of looking at the same general bottom line number, because,
Can I precede that by just introductions, if you don't mind, because I don't know everybody.
oh,
here.
sure.
This is Charlotte, Cynthia, I'm Jeff, and I know some of you, but not all of you. I guess you got names, so I guess we'll take it.
To Kirsch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw you, but
Right.
anyway,
And Wendy Rogers isn't here.
she's on an
She's on a
airplane in
plane.
North Carolina, so
Okay.
she didn't make it.
No problem. So we just got some paperwork tonight, and the bottom line number that we have is 161,063.
Correct.
Okay, great.
I thought,
That's okay. You got the packet, you got the right packet.
Oh yeah, I meant the hard copies we got today.
Yeah,
But yeah.
because I thought.
because
we
it's
said-
changed a bit,
Yeah.
and recommendation here, recommendation
It's
there.
gone
so-
back and forth twice. so.
Yeah, okay.
So with that, you guys can just kind of present however you think would be the most helpful.
Well, let me preface, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, and I apologize if it's new off the press, but let me preface everything by saying that two things are going to be happening this coming year that are unusual, that are outside the frame of what we would call normal. One, the state is getting rid of what we call our CAMA, C-A-M-A system, and that was provided by the state, and they're letting all the towns fend for themselves. We've hooked on with a company called Tyler, but that means there's going to be a conversion, if you will, from CAMA, which is phasing out, and into the Tyler system. So that's going to create some requests for more money for that particular thing. The second item is that Cynthia, after 23 years, is moving on to greener pastures. We'll be in the replacement mode at that time, this coming year. She has graciously said she'd stay on to help the conversion, which means she'd be here through January of this coming year, which is an overlap, but I can't think of a better person I'd want here for the conversion. So, just so you understand, there are a couple of very good reasons why our budget has increased this year.
So Cynthia will be here
And
through the
Cynthia,
end
I'll
of
let her go
December.
through things with you and try to explain it. Go ahead, Cynthia. If you have any questions, we can certainly answer anything.
Okay. The first thing is, maybe the board could speak to the support in the stipends. And then I can take the budget from there, but I think it's probably, the certified assessor stipend is, as it always is, a certified assessor is provided for MGL. You get $1,000 for the stipend once you're certified certified assessor. So that has always been in the budget. The next one, the technology stipend, 2917, I'll let the board speak to that, but the semantics of it is a technology stipend for the things quoted on page 3 of the technology, the higher level technology that is done in the office. In addition to all of that, then the conversion is the top paragraph.
Just to bring you up to speed as you read that, there are actually two components to this. One is that there is a stipend for this year, meaning the present year we're in, because Cynthia did a great job at doing personal property. We saved $5,000–6,000 there. 3 of that thousand we would like to transfer to this year's stipend. We have the money because we saved it. So, just so you understand, there's 2 allotments, one for 3 this year, and then you'll see the other one, 2917. That's prorated through January of this following 2020.
Does it save money, go back to the general fund and has to get appropriated? or-
No.
We went through
We
this
had
with
some
Nacho, we went
The
through it
money-
with
Save
Don.
money.
He wanted to do it one way, I'm not privy.
The money,
Ted is
the
the-
money was there, it was allocated, it's moved into that position. Um, Just another word on the technology stipend. It's not only on the conversion, the new system that we have to enter all the data. There is also the updating in order to keep us level with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts requirement on the mapping. In order to, which we're required to be at a level 4. I don't want you all going to sleep here, but that is the division of the properties that is updating the mapping, and we've got subdivisions all over the place. So that is part of what is being paid for by the technology stipend.
We're basically mirroring a stipend this isn't precedent setting. There is already a technology stipend in town for higher level technology skills and IT work inside and across departments. And that's being allotted already for a resource upstairs. And so as we talk about and look at page 3 of all the technology that I've been handling and doing work in-house, maintaining systems, maintaining data for other applications across departments, the GIS, we're at level 4 compliance, and all that means is we are at the highest level. We maintain our GIS. We have more than one platform. I don't want to get too deep, but we have multiple platforms of GIS. We have multiple data uploaders. We have multiple interactions with
That's
cartograph to
mapping.
keep it, to keep the map. So when you go to the town website and hit GIS or parcel mapping or whatever, we're at the highest compliance in the state. And that takes a lot of work, and mapping is a piece of it. But working with the GIS vendor, understanding the products, the tools, the dashboards, all this stuff to get this done, keep it up to date, and then feed all that data to other departments, like our new permitting software. We find, in speaking with the person receiving the technology stipend already, that it is extremely similar, higher level skills that have been addressed and accounted for. So I try to put down on page 3 the things that are done in our office on the technology. So I just wanted to give you some background. Why are you seeing?
Who is the we find it similar? Is that the assessors or is it HR?
No, there is a technology, there's been an upgrade of systems in the software throughout the building.
When you say we find it similar, I don't know if it's the assessor group or somebody in HR said, oh, we have to be.
Yes.
No, just to kind of clarify, the software for all the departments, okay, was upgraded. We have one member, an IT person, who is attending to upgrade of the software. That person, who is Jen, who is the assistant town clerk, cannot do any of the stuff that we do. She's not familiar with the system. Okay. So that portion of the stipend, the technology stipend, is being allocated with this figure to our department.
I'm just having a hard time getting my mind around, as technology progresses in the business world, you just adapt to the new technology and, you know, we're told it makes your job easier or you can do a better job for your customer, but it isn't like, wow, you got there's an upcharge involved. Or
Well, just so you know,
and if you post this position, it sounds like you're double counting. You're probably going to post, hey, you got to be able to do this or learn this, and then So that's in the base pay, and then we're gonna give you a stipend on top of that. It sounds like that slice, you're double paying, in my
No.
simple.
But the town's already acknowledged that in another area.
Well, I have a clarifying question about that. And Nanachka might be the person to, can you tell us where in the budget the technology stipend appears for the other technology stipend? Do you know?
It's not in the budget, it's for municipal software. It's in the revolving fund. It's to, we established a revolving fund to have a municipal software technology fee, and that stipend is coming out of that to run the permitting systems.
Okay, because when you said you were gonna take 3,000 from that, are you saying from that revolving fund?
No, from the assessor's budget this
The
year.
excess. The excess.
For this
So
year.
instead of paying
it's-
somebody to do personal property, outsourcing it, they would pay Cynthia instead, essentially.
The
Like
last
use-
time we outsourced that, it was $7,500 6 years ago. So I do that in-house, among the other things. But yes, the other stipend is through a revolving funds. Well, we don't have that available, that's not available to us in our area.
Mhm. Okay.
The one out of revolving, we are mirroring that stipend.
Like, amount?
Amount.
Mhm.
That's what I thought would be a concrete way to try to handle this for equity of the higher level IT skills. So, and Jen and I talk all the time. So Jen has helped launch the new viewpoint
I believe it is, yeah.
permitting. There was no resource in town to do that, even though we have IT coverage and maintenance and backups and IT health and system checks through CM Geeks. They don't delve into all that other, well, they would for a fee.
Right.
So Jen, who comes from an IT background, so that's already, precedent's already been set. The source of the funds is different.
Mhm.
That happens to come from a revolving fund. But this mirrors exactly
Mhm.
that allocation.
Okay.
And the reason this says 2917 is because I would be willing to stay through January 30th of 2020.
Okay.
So that just adds it. So it's 2,500 every 6 months. So that's what's already occurring to launch and master conversions, launch a new product and.
Right. So then to Ted's question though, for 2021, after your replacement has been hired, that stipend disappears or it's then part of the request?
We haven't asked for it.
That's
But-
going on, that doesn't disappear. That doesn't disappear, that's an ongoing, when we get to 2021, okay, we're gonna be looking at that allocation, the same allocation, it's the same IT job that is required in order to comply with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Revenue. That's not a one-shot deal.
I was under the impression the stipend was a one-time conversion stipend.
Yeah, because what I'm trying
Just for 20.
Correct, and then it would go away in 21, because the software would be, all the data would be uploaded, and it'd just be running like a new software system.
Okay, that's,
That was my understanding, I don't know if it's correct, but.
Well, I suppose I guess the real question would be, to maintain the office, nobody's irreplaceable, of course not, but it is a interesting skill set needed up there in assessors, or X, Y, Z, we have GIS and all kinds of things going. So I suppose to maintain the level of service and GIS level in that office, you can think of it as a stipend in 2021 or additional wages or something to get, if you're going to replicate the services that are there now in upkeep of GIS to highest level conformance. And to be brutally honest with you, you'll not find anybody to do in-house personal property. I'm the last one. I did it for Lancaster for 12 years. I do it here. It's one of those onerous, nobody wants to look at it. get it done, but if it isn't done correctly, personal property helps set the tax rate, everything stops too. The only entity in the whole state now that does almost everybody's personal property is RRC. It's an outside vendor, and they'll charge 8,000 to 10,000. There's no town, if you know, so it's one of those things, if you call all the towns around here, nobody does their own personal property anymore. So whether you call it a stipend in 2021 or you pay the wages that bring someone in that will keep GIS up at the highest standard, who'd even be willing to try to learn to bring keep it in-house, I'm not sure that could happen, but that would have to be outsourced, and that's like $8,000.
When you say does personal property, could you expand on what that means?
Discover and list
Assess.
all the businesses, the business equipment used in the conduct of business here in the town. Individuals, LLCs, corporations, the international, home-based businesses.
I mean, find new ones? I mean, not, I mean,
Exactly.
find ones that are new and
Well,
existing,
existing, you go
that haven't self-declared or
inspection,
something.
right?
If it has a moving part,
They
You
provide a
have to tax
list.
it.
if it has a moving part, we tax it.
And the DOR, you have to discover new accounts, or you won't get certified for the whole rate because you're stale on your personal property discover and list.
So then the $4,950 that we're spending on purchase of services toward personal property and discovery list by RRG.
That's if I'm not here. That's a placeholder if I'm not here.
Okay, so that's not clear in this budget. That seems like it's,
No, but I hear you, but if we didn't put it in, that's not being clear either. What would be needed should I go? So,
all right, so I think what we need to
Where are you
do,
reading
just to
from?
level set a little bit,
Oh, over here.
is, so, as we sit here today, we have $300,000 more worth of expenditures than we have in revenue, okay? So we're not trying to pick on you at all. But we've already said, like, no to a request for a traffic enforcement officer for $47,000. We haven't voted on a request for additional hours from the Council on Aging or Parks and Rec. We're gonna have to violate some of our, like, long-term policies about setting aside $100,000 for snow and ice
Let me
deficit.
just-
Can I just finish, please? And then we are also gonna have to spend quite a bit of our free cash to balance the operating budget. So,
Been through this with Don.
okay,
Secondly, first of all, if we don't do this, there is a very good chance the DOR will take over the assessors department
They
in
will
the
not
town of
certify.
Bolton.
Right.
Because we're not going to be certified. And if we're not certified and they take it over, the cost will almost double. And you will not have 3 assessors upstairs.
You'll have nobody upstairs.
Is DOR's
We
posture
are under the,
in
we
ratings
are under the,
Oh,
we
yeah.
operate under the auspices of the Department of Revenue. Unlike anybody else who is coming to you for whatever they're coming to you for. Our job is to maintain the values in the real property, all of those, such that it is capable of being signed off by the Department of Revenue. Unlike everybody else that's going to be coming in and talking to you. That ends here, whether you approve it or you don't approve it. We have an issue, because what we have to lay out and explain to the Department of Revenue, they will either sign off or they won't sign off. And so we are the only department in the building that is in that kind of jeopardy.
Sure.
The 3 towns, my day job is as an appraiser. I saw what happened in Worcester, okay? And what happened in Worcester was the black cars came up the driveway and everybody in the assessor's office was summarily tossed. And they took over that office, and it took them 3 years, okay, that they were there. They charge whatever they charge. We have no control over what that bill is going to be. We're making a serious attempt to try and maintain, after losing her, okay, in order to maintain that which is going to be baseline minimally required in order to comply with what we have to do for the Department of Revenue. That's what's there. If we had any fat in this, I would be the first one to tell you, well, maybe we can.
To help me understand that state standard where one either passes or fails.
Correct.
Could you send a link to that to Brian and he can distribute it? I mean, there must be something on the website that says a town must demonstrate blah, blah, blah,
you
blah,
can
blah,
go in-
or we take over.
No, that, it's located in the Mass General Laws, annotated, and if you want to read it on the role of the assessor's office, what we are required to do.
I would like to.
That is either, I think it is either chapter 43 or 44. But you can, if you go into mass.gov, the only department in this whole building which is located in the MGLA is the role of the assessor's office. We go through this every single year, and we have to comply with what they tell us we have to comply with. We're stuck.
Would the Division of Local Services help me find that? Would they know where that would be? In the MGL?
Well,
Anyway,
I don't,
I mean,
all I can tell you, okay, is it's there, we don't have a choice, and if you go into mass.gov, should be able to find that whole list. And what we have to do, or if we don't do it, that,
Receivership.
correct.
So I suppose if you just, Mass
What
General
I'm-
Law, Google receivership, but I think what Charlotte's really
I
trying to
don't think
get
we're
at
close to
is-
receivership.
No, but that's not the point we're trying to make. We're
I just don't want anybody watching this to think that we are close to not, I mean, I just don't want to misconstrue to the public that we're on the brink of having DOR take over our
No, no,
assessing
no,
department.
no.
Because
No,
that's
but-
what it sounded
What
like.
you said is if we
That's
don't
not
approve
true.
this, then we're not gonna get
That's what-
certified. That's
right.
what
Came across it.
Well, no, what I was trying to get at is the 300 or 350,000 that is out there that we don't have any funding, okay? We don't know where your guys are gonna have the option of cutting. It can't come out of here, is the point that I'm trying to make.
Well, and
Just-
I'm pushing back respectfully
I know.
because let me just
Okay.
try to finish. So a couple things that I would like to understand. The wages for the new hire, when I looked at the supporting paperwork, you're requesting 13 weeks, 35 hours per week at the top pay grade. So my question is, why do you need 13 weeks? Why do you need 35 hours per week? And why would a person that's just coming in start at the top of the pay grade?
Because if we have researched what this job pays, and to get anybody who is going to be coming in that has got the level of qualifications of the one who's leaving, that is going to be minimally what's going to be required. We have, okay, we have asked RRG, in the event that nobody is looking to come in, okay? And RRG, if they could locate a person to replace Cynthia, gave us a quote, and they don't have somebody to replace Cynthia. They gave us a quote of $19,500 per day, per day for the year, and that is per day, so 4 days, okay?
Wait, 19,000?
19,500 for 1 day, for the year.
1 day a week.
Yeah, 1 day a week, 52 days, give or take the holidays, right?
So that, including them taking care of the benefits, would be costing this town $78,000.
And he put it in writing, just so you know.
Right.
It's
Is
a
this, I don't mean to be flippant or anything, but is this a 4 or 5 day a week job?
That's when we're open, and the assessor's office does not have, we have to be open during those posted hours. So as of now, it's a 4 day week, not Friday. So,
Tuesday.
right. So you've got the Tuesday, day, night, 3 additional days, and no Fridays.
I think what the budget's just trying to do is also, if it isn't in the correct or appropriate format, things could be changed or fixed. I think in the spirit of the budget is just trying to show what is already being done in the office that isn't outsourced, what's coming to the office for technology, and the hardships that are out there. It's a tough time to get someone to step into this role just to even learn assessing, much less all the conversions and the GIS and personal property. So I think to compare this to something, if I retired on June 30th, this budget would then contain, as you saw, a personal property component that more reflected market, additional help for the data conversion from RRG, because even the DOR said you need more money in your budget for field data quality review study once you do a conversion. Personal property to be outsourced, that would have to come in. What would happen to GIS? You'd have to hire, whoever came in would have to be pretty GIS savvy. That's not easily found. You know, we have departments struggling, Concom and planning, trying to wrap their arms around it. We're all trying to understand shape files, changing them, snap grids, and, you know, these are, yes, products change and there is technology, but are you a user of the technology, or are you actually a platform maintainer of technology? There's a big difference there.
So it looks like this 13,000 some odd is a one-time, 1 year thing.
Right.
After
That
which
is
it gets
correct.
retired
That, correct.
and probably migrates into a $50,000 next year after that.
Correct.
That's correct.
Additionally, a few minutes ago, I believe I heard this $49.50 for personal property discovery was in fact redundant.
It would go away if the budget was something that was agreeable, and I would be able to stay till January 31st and see all this through. That would go away. The assessor's office has always had good turnbacks at the end of the year. But we put it in there to show, one, we're trying to highlight, this page is more, if I wasn't here, you'd have to be outsourcing
All of
these things. So we didn't quite know how to build a budget because it's an unusual situation. So
But what I see here on line 5200 is 81,000 some odd, which happens to, I think, be roughly the equivalent of, almost exactly, I think, the content of the entire second page, which is not listed as a contingency, but
it could be, if the semantic. RRG valuation services would stay. That's your real estate appraisal, okay. The second thing, personal property, if I was on board the first 7 months of fiscal '20, that would go away. I would continue to do it in-house.
okay. So there's 5,000.
There it is, true. The post-data CAMA conversion, I believe, my opinion would be that would stay because we've been recommended by the DOR in writing to reserve money in '20, even if you have good resources to handle a lot of the conversion and the data quality field review. It's a big effort to get out there, and you're not guaranteed a desk review.
Sure.
The DOR could say, no, you have to go out and do 40%. The conversion isn't just 1 year. The conversion is at least 10 years of data. We have multi-year platform for assessing. So it's 10 years conversion. right? We have had this CAM system since 2001. Well, they're not going to go all the way back to that, but the agreement with the new vendor is they will do a 10-year conversion of data because you need baselines to move to the next, to look at certain things. People have questions. Historically, we need to memorialize things. So it's a 10-year review of data, desktop, but then there's field review. Did the sketches come out right? What work needs to be done? It's a big undertaking for all the CAMA data, everything that's part of the valuation. And you have chapter land, mixed use, paired records, discounting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be reasonable of us to remove 4950 from this budget? And then have it flow over to 5200 and down to the end of the thing?
That's up to the board based on the front page, I would say.
Do we have a liaison with our assessor?
No.
I need time to kind of further understand this. I'd like to involve an HR person and just see what he says about grade levels and that kind of thing.
We had a wage and compensation study done, I think 3 years ago. Do you remember when that was? I don't remember. So we do have a chart, a wage chart for all the different grades and
Yeah, I've
steps
seen
in
all the
town.
grades and, yeah. Okay, that's just where I'm.
I noticed, not related to that last topic quite so much, but I noticed that there's $6,000 for the cyclical revisiting that has been taken out since the last budget.
That's us.
We go out as a board every summer and do somewhere between 250 and 300 houses a year.
At
You can,
at no cost to the town.
if you were to hire, for instance, a soup to nuts corporation such as Patriot, who would do that, they would charge you for what the board does for free, about $6,000.
Okay.
$30 a car.
We're just saying that, yes, we intend, if we can get a good car from the town this year, that's beside the point.
Everybody wants a car.
Well, anyway, the point being that if we don't go this
We
route,
always end up with the cruiser that is at the bottom of the list, or whatever,
the Crown Vic
which
has
gets,
no brakes.
which is a real trip if you're going up the gravel driveways, and we hung it up 3 times last year. Yeah. And scared the hell out of Wendy Rogers, and she still is willing to go out with us. But we've done this for years, and we got a quote from RRG if we were not to do this.
Sure.
And what they're charging is $6,000.
Okay.
Okay, does that help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, that 6,000 actually is low because
It's
the
better.
board is actually ahead of schedule, if you will. In other words, we've looked at, you're allowed about an 8.5-year time window to get these done. That's mandated by the DOR.
To revisit.
And we're down to about a 7 year, so they would only have to look back at 7 versus the 8.5. So that could fluctuate depending on where,
That would go up to 8,000.
we go up to 8,000 normally speaking. We're at a fairly decent level at the moment, just so you know.
On the conversion to the Tyler system, is it possible, if you had the money, that could start March of 2019? In other words, instead of starting and overlapping out here,
We
overlapping?
don't
No.
have that option. They've been beta testing it. We've gotten 3 new deadlines and when this is going to come in.
Are we serial number 1?
We are when we get it. And so right now, they're talking about the latest projection of bringing this system into practice is what is calculated here. We don't have the choice.
In other words, we don't have the flexibility of moving that around.
Yeah.
The CAM gets shut down, okay? There's going to be an overlap because for us to pull out the old system, stuff from the old system, but CAMA is defunct as an operating system. We're using it to reflect the data, which is going to be updated. But we don't have the option of using that camera system once Tyler, which has been approved as we have to have our vendor approved by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So when it's ready and up running, and I think Cynthia can tell you what the projected date is now, but that's what's contained in here. We didn't have a choice.
I'd like to just try to get a better understanding of the above the line segment. And the thing that I kind of want to experiment with is, imagine that we're in FY 2021. Can you point out to me which of these elements disappears in FY 2021? And what I'm trying to get at is, how close to $73,249 do you think your FY '21 request is going to be?
Well, the wages for the new hire, because we're anticipating 3 months of overlap for training, that goes away.
That's your 13 below that.
Yep. So that goes away.
Right.
So you
The
have
certified
60.
assessor goes away, the 1,000, unless someone steps in who's done, it's quite extensive, the assessor's accreditation. It's 7 or 8 classes for 4 weekends for each class, it's a lot.
Are you the certified assessor?
I
Yeah,
am.
in order to maintain the accreditation.
And then you have
You have to ship her out
recertification at like UMass Amherst, but the assessor's accreditation is quite extensive. It's, ask any assessor who has to just do the board training, and then the certified assessor, it's formidable, it's quite a bit, it's.
So that might go away, and then, let me just finish with this line of questioning. The stipend would stay, in your view. The technology stipend would stay. And then the wages, so you have that budgeted based on Cynthia's grade and current step, which is a step 10. I'm wondering why we would budget at the step 10 for a new person.
Because what we've done is to send out, you can talk to Don about that, what the comparable, we don't know anybody who's quite as good as we are, but what that job pays out there. This one's been working for chicken feed for way too long. And, you know, that sounds great on TV too. But as her job, which was a clerical, glorified secretary when she came in that many years ago, this is just ballooned and ballooned and ballooned. So it's not a matter of going up the steps, it's that there isn't the possibility of getting somebody who is going to be competent to her level for less than that.
Okay, and then, so that reflects your belief of a market rate, and then
Correct.
for the 13,755, that is 13 weeks, and I'm wondering, that strikes me as a long training period, it's 3 months, but it sounds like you've spoken to other people. Where are you coming up with the 3-month training overlap?
We're coming up with the minimum that we believe is going to be required in order to train up to her level, somebody coming in. It's all new. And we don't believe it can be done in less than 3 months. We're hoping that we have the 3 months to do it, but it's not going to be done less than that. This is a huge, huge job.
Do we know what other towns are doing?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like
getting at.
Harvard, Stowe, Lancaster?
Well, we don't have,
Well,
we
the
don't,
problem there is Harvard and a lot of towns, if you speak to RRG, the regional, the towns, they can't take on any more towns. They've got 20-some towns. The turnover in personnel at these towns, Harvard's had 5 people in less than 3 years. And that, I think, is what Charlie's trying to speak to
I
about
think it's actually
upheavals and calamities or things in non-continuity occurring in the office. And then when the DOR comes in and does audits and says, let me see your chapter files, where's your liens, where's your chapter values, how'd you get there? Where's your personal property? Let me audit your accounts. Your low value exempt, they're just as important as your high tickets. And then there's turnovers in these towns and people go, wait. And it's hardship, and I know you've all read your municipal regs and newsletters that say they cannot replace those that are retiring.
This might be a question for Dawn, but you might know the answer. So when I think about paying somebody almost $14,000 for 3 months of training, do they have to sign a contract where they pledge to stay with the town of Bolton for X number of years?
We've talked about the possibility, wouldn't that be nice? We would like to shackle them to the chair, okay? We're running a risk here. Okay, clearly, we're running a risk. But, and we tossed around, we were talking to Don, the possibility of doing what we're doing with RRG and have a 3-year contract, okay, with that new person coming in. That doesn't obligate them, it just obligates us.
I don't believe assessors can have contracts. I think town accountants, town administrators.
No, our assessor has got a 3-year contract.
No, I'm not, I thought you were talking about Cynthia's replacement.
No, I'm talking, she is currently an assistant assessor,
Right.
okay? We haven't found, I think we were running this out to town council and found out if there'd be anything prohibitive. What we found out is we're not gaining any ground, okay? Even if we could lock them in, there's nothing prohibiting it from the standpoint of being an assessor or an assistant assessor. However, we can't guarantee anything, okay? And the only way that we can guarantee, our best guarantee of being able to maintain a suitable and qualified person is to pay them. Okay, that's, okay, what we went through in terms of trying to find out how long it's going to take to bring them up to speed, what are they going to be expecting to make.
Just to give you insight, we asked RRG to try to get us a person. And Mr. Scheid had a person in mind, and she declined due to the amount of salary that we could offer.
Do you have,
She had better offers.
do you
She was
have,
holding out for the, what'd you call it? The bonus? This is the facts.
This is such a tough job. And I'm not saying that other people in town don't have a tough job, but the scrutiny and what we have to go through and what we have to comply with is not contained within the building.
Right.
So this is a special weight on somebody who is coming in, and it's not easy to replace. I love her, but I'm still pissed that she's leaving. So the thing is that we don't have any other option that we know of right now. RRG has nobody to come in to replace her. And when they set what the rate would be, that rate was based on what their people out in the field are making per day for the, so we're not special.
So we can look forward to spending 10, 20,000 more than right now. I don't know the number, but if you can't fill the space for 55,000 some odd,
I mean,
I think sooner or later you're gonna have.
I'm prepared to say that after HR has benchmarked other towns.
Sure.
That's not That's not true. The base salary, the difference is that the retirement, the health insurance, all of that is absorbed by the people that come from RRG.
Yes.
The benefits that she receives on top of this equal approximately, we had figured out, somewhere on the order of $74,500 if you add all of the benefits. And RRG's replacement was going to cost us $78,000.
Right.
The difference is really not anything to, okay.
It's about 5,000.
What does RRG stand for? What's their role in all this?
They're our principal assessor. That is the company that we have contracted with as our assessor for on a 3-year basis. And they've saved us a fortune, which is hard to explain, but they've saved us a fortune because we don't have to cover them on insurance and all of the other benefits. Those are paid for by RRG.
And do you have an actual number from RRG if we were to outsource it? Is that the,
Yes.
that's the 19,000?
Yeah.
That's the
19,500, 19,500 is the 35-hour week, the same thing that she's got, per day for the year. And that comes up to, if you multiply that times 4, you're at 78,000.
50 times 20 is going to be closer to 100,000 or something. I don't know.
And then,
Multiplied by 4.
okay, so roughly 78,000
It's exactly 78,000.
to outsource.
Yes,
To RRG.
if they had a person
If they
to come
had.
in, which they do not. When they put this together for us, that was when we realized that Cynthia was going to retire. We kind of knew this was coming, we just didn't want to face it. We went to RRG, and the easiest option that, in our minds, was, great, let's have one of your people come in to replace her. At that time, they had somebody that they thought would be competent to do that. That's what they were paying, and that's where that figure came from. But that figure is temporarily meaningless because we don't have that option. But that's the industry, this is what I'm trying to get across here. This is what the industry standard is. If we're looking to maintain the level of service that we are doing now, that's what it costs.
The way we're organized today, what does a principal assessor do versus what we do in-house? Or what?
Appraisal services, evaluation of real estate and commercial.
I mean, do they go out in the field, or do you
Yes.
guys do the field work and they?
No,
We go out in the
no.
field and inspections.
No, we're not,
Yes
no.
and yes.
I'm just.
Yes.
What we're doing, the
Totally.
job that we do, is we're required by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, currently once every 9 years, and it will be once every 10, to take the field card and inspect every property in town once in that period. So we're going out in the car, theoretically, please God, we're going out in the car, we take the field card, we're walking around the house, we're checking the measurements.
Extensions, pools, all that.
That's right. We want to find out what came up overnight that we're not taxing.
Right.
Okay? And you'd be amazed how fast barns go up, decks go up, and the basement is finished with a full in-law. Okay?
So that's what you do.
That's what we do.
And the principal.
We're not in the valuation portion. The valuation of those properties is the job of the principal assessor.
Okay.
Any new growth, every year we have new growth. RRG, or the principal assessor, does that evaluation?
All the valuation is done by the
We're just
principal
verifying
assessor.
the card.
We're verifying what
And
is
making sure
there.
that what we're taxing
Is there?
is there, okay? That it hasn't burned down, it hasn't doubled in size.
Or deteriorated it or whatever.
Right, we have to make notes on the condition. We have to fight off the dogs. We have to, the people that want us to get the hell off their property. We're real popular out there. I can tell you, because they believe we're the ones that set their taxes. So these faces are the ones they see. Fortunately, we only have to see them once every 9 years, but our job is to make sure that we're accurately representing what that taxable piece of property is.
So that's real estate, and then on in-house on the other side, personal property, which has to be certified too. It's a full load of work out, discovery list, all the machinery you have to list, model, make, year, depreciation, pick the right tables, maintain the software. That's certified also. It's on the LA4. That's certified by the state too. And you have
Oh,
the
and the
same.
phone companies,
Yes, and I do.
the
Yes.
towers.
The solar.
Yeah.
I have to
solar, the
extrapolate
switching.
monthly, quarterly revenue from the solar facilities into accurate personal property billing.
Does the,
So when you go out for market data, a lot of towns, they're not doing item for item that's getting done in the office today by RRG for real estate and Cynthia for everything else.
Right.
Ted, I just want to
You
flag,
know.
we're running a little bit behind, so I want us to try to wrap up in the next few minutes.
okay, I can
Yeah.
delay or question.
No, our job is to be able to answer whatever you've got for questions.
Quick question, does the principal assessor then, do they do field work or they work off of the card that
They
you've kind of validated?
inspect the properties that are under construction. They do the measurements on the completion. We don't do that. So when we have something that comes in, that is a permit comes in, there's an inspection. And we have a level, okay, of vacant land, then part of a house, then
Yeah.
and they visit each time. That's what the job of the
Our
principal
architect.
assessor.
Thank you.
If a citizen takes us to court, it's called the ATB, they will represent us at no cost because we're under contract with them at the ATB, which can be, when I first joined the board 20 years ago, very, very expensive if you have to go to the ATB, which we haven't done in 20
We haven't
years.
even gotten to that.
But it happens on occasion. Just another expense that we would have to farm out if we do.
If our measurements are not correct, okay, we go out and we verify that what was drawn, okay, is correct. We had approximately 6 years of having to redraw every damn house in the town. I'm an appraiser, I'm used to it, I know how living area is calculated. So we are at the point now where we have got competent inspections being done so that what is being built is actually what's on the field card. We had years when that was not the case. We had people taxing tennis courts where none were. So the thing is that it's a tricky proposition.
Thank you.
But our job, just for me to reiterate, our job is to take this confusion and answer your questions as to what does it mean, where's it going, where are we spending the money, how are we spending the money? Not on us, because we are your faithful volunteers. But we can account for, and have gone through this with a fine-tooth comb, we can account for, we believe, every single dime which is being looked for in this budget. And we've spent a great deal of time doing it. That is not to say that we are not sympathetic with the fact that there is unanticipated stuff out there. Okay? But what you guys need to understand is what runs this town, 97% of every single dollar that builds this and plows that and whatever is generated out of our office. And so we need to make sure that it is 100% accurate.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood before you guys head out. It sounded like Cynthia was saying if the budget above the line were agreed to as proposed, then perhaps the 4,950 that's currently under the purchase of services line could be taken out.
Personal property?
Right.
Yes.
Let's assume she stays till the end of January. of
To do
this-
the one
the
last
next
cycle
fiscal
of personal
year.
property.
What about the 6,000? Is that?
That's not in
No.
there.
Oh, it's not?
No.
That was the change.
No.
Oh, okay.
That is correct. If we,
We were the 6,000.
I got you.
the 6 is not in there because we,
And we may
Anticipate
talk
going
about
forward.
this in 2021 because we're getting tired. But we're prepared to go forth here, volunteering our services, okay, through the end of the paper.
Okay. Thank you for explaining all that.
sorry, I knew this wasn't going to take 20 minutes, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Did you want to do the overlay reserve?
Oh, yeah, very
return?
quick.
Yeah.
Two things you should know.
That are important because we do give
This
back.
is income, the overlay account, we give back to the town. In other words, what we do is we have a certain amount of money left over for trial cases.
Yep.
And as the years, as they get checked off, nothing's happening, we return that money. It's called the overlay account.
Well, we can.
Yeah, well, we can. This year, we'll be returning to you 120,000. We usually return somewhere in that vicinity. And the other item you should know is
On new growth.
new growth, which determines new income for the town.
Right.
We've upped it a little bit. It's now at 225.
Okay.
I don't think that's on your other one. 225, which should help minimally.
That's damn close to the 300,000 that you got no place to put it.
Was the 120 already in our budget?
Yes.
Yes.
The 120 would probably be in your
And the
budget.
225 is already in there too.
Actually, Nanachka, I'm looking at this, we have 125.
Oh, yeah, we have 125, so it's actually worse.
So we'll have to.
All right. I'm sorry, I didn't know what you had in
We had 125
for the overlay.
for the overlay reserve, so we can.
These are just estimates.
Well, it was just an estimate,
Yeah,
so
that's
it'll be fine.
225.
We'll do, no.
No, that's,
So,
No, that's, no, he's talking about the new.
Whatever you need to do.
Okay.
The overlay is now, yeah, if it was 125, it's 120.
okay,
and the other numbers.
That was an estimate that David probably gave.
back in January.
January.
Which was pretty close.
It's fine, yes.
It wasn't bad, but we're actually.
Okay,
And the 225 you probably have, I assume.
have that, yeah, great.
Just wanted to confirm those two numbers.
Thank you for doing that, I'm glad you remembered.
But you can always give it out anyway.
We're gonna hold off until probably 2 weeks from now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you think of anything after this, since we are not planning on moving out of town, you can feel free, if a question comes up, we'd be happy to take whatever time we can.
Yeah, if you can email
Because this
Cynthia,
is
we can
like
certainly
the,
review it.
speed through version of this, and I know it's difficult on you guys.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
if you review it and you've got 2 weeks to mull it over, just email Cynthia, I'll certainly get back to you in
Okay.
24 hours hopefully, unless it's a Friday.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, have a good night.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Okay. And next on our agenda is to meet with David O'Connor. Sorry to keep you waiting.
That's
Mr.
all right.
O'Connor.
I hope you were totally fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
Good to see you again.
Nice to be seen, being viewed.
Yeah. So, just to orient you, we have a number that may or may not be what you guys have actually voted. Have you voted on your budget already?
Yeah.
Okay, so, the assessment we have is 633,599 for Bolton. Is that? It's actually in the bigger spreadsheet.
Yes.
I think it was actually lower than that. 2019, for the 2020 budget, February 5th, the number that I have is 505,258. Wait, no, total assessments is 630,937.
630,937. Can I just take a quick peek at that? And this,
That's the packet that they gave us at the meeting.
and this was voted,
The week after, so you asked me to come on the 28th or something like that.
oh yeah, you guys,
There was a snowstorm and.
You guys had a meeting.
We had that meeting on the Thursday as well because
of the
we needed to vote.
Yeah.
So,
What's the number?
It's 630,937.
Oh, yay, it's less.
Yep.
$3,000, yay!
we'll take it, right?
Hey, we'll take it. I always like it when the numbers go down.
630,937.
So you can have that.
Oh, no, yeah, and then that was last year's. Okay.
Can I make a copy of that?
You can have the budget pack. I've got the PDF version.
Oh, I can have this?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
I get abnormally
That's why I
excited.
brought it.
Perfect.
Thank
like-
you, thank you.
And if you need the PDF version, Kevin or myself can email it to you.
Oh, okay.
So it should be a copy of that as
Yeah,
well.
thank you.
That goes into much more detail, which last year you guys asked a lot of questions I couldn't answer,
Right.
so I brought the book.
Yeah. So I'll give everyone else a chance to ask any questions they might have.
New school.
We met
big percentage?
before and we went into a lot of detail. I guess just in a general way, I'm interested in how your budget evolves and you have like a board and
So we have a finance.
I know
board.
everybody isn't interested in the numbers.
Yeah,
but-
so there's a finance board. So the finance committee, they meet on a regular basis. They go through with the executive committee and the head of the business office, the superintendent, and they go through line by line and look at things, and then they present a proposed budget. We then look at it, those of us that have a financial background will then scrutinize it a little bit more.
These are the town
Reps. If there are questions that are brought up by, the town administrator or someone, typically we'd be notified and present that on behalf of the town. And then we vote on the overall budget. But there's typically a couple of working sessions before the presentation of the budget. And honestly, over the years that I've been, Sudbury and some of the other towns, they would have argued a lot more about some of the different areas. But mostly, the budget is what the budget is. And you might say, well, why are they bringing on a new teacher, so justifications of why there's certain things. But the business office goes through and typically gives a summation of why certain changes to the budget take place. And those are all public documents as well. So,
I'm not sure, can I see that?
Oh, yeah, you can have it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because my,
I'll just take it at the end.
I wanted to see if on this sheet it shows, do you know if anywhere in this document it shows what the overall increase for the
Yeah.
whole district is as a percentage?
I think that's the front page in the summaries.
I'm actually not taking the front of the,
So they go through the executive summary and how they go through their process. The trends. This is enrollment.
Yep.
Yeah, so these are all the highlights of like why they're increasing certain things. Here's the proposed.
Because what I guess maybe the thing that I'd like to communicate to you as a school committee representative is that obviously the town is constrained by Prop 2.5. So when we build our budget, we can only build in like 2.5 growth when it comes to our tax levy. I know that this year Neshoba's budget overall is growing, I want to say like 3.2% approximately. Last year it was closer to 4. And I don't know what Minuteman's budget is growing year over year, but obviously if the school district's growth is higher than 2.5%,
Right.
in both of our school districts, it's putting real downward pressure on what the town can afford. So I guess what I'm saying is obviously there's nothing you can do about the assessment at this point. Yeah, so it looks like the total growth is 7.6.
from,
Yeah,
and we've got 8.1, or thereabouts.
yeah. 7.6 from FY19 to FY20. And I think they just need to understand that it's making it really difficult for the town to pay, not only to sustain services, but to even consider paying for new services.
Yeah, and I think that the challenge this year is there's a lot with regards to getting ready to take over the new school, right?
Right.
So you've got new equipment, moving costs, those types of things, that's incorporated as well, right? It's
Yeah.
you know, so there are some costs, I believe, that are in this budget that will not be in reoccurring because it's for the establishment of
Is there
the
history?
Well, yeah, so I was actually going to ask you a favor. So not everybody can see this, but this sheet, I should probably make copies for everyone, shows the history of the change year over year.
Yeah.
And, you know, wouldn't we love a -4? But the past 2 years have been high, probably, as you say, because you're preparing to take over the new building.
That's correct.
But it would be great if
Plus,
you can,
plus we had 16 members,
right,
and then we reduced to 10. So 6-member towns who were contributing have left.
yeah,
And we've got a brand-new school, which was originally, when it was put to the MSBA, was supposed to have 16 towns. Now, the good news is that there are elements to the school, the superintendent and the committee are working on to try and ease assessment in future years. And some of that is that when the old building comes down, there's discussions and legislation that was put in which we championed to get new legislation to allow us to enter into long-term lease agreements with partner organizations. So what does that all mean? It means is if we can find a suitable, compatible organization, and hypothetically, a college, university, or research facility, who has the same values and conditions and wants to use Minuteman as a facility could put a co-location or a building in some of the land space. We could then lease to them, generating revenue that would be in alignment with the mission of the school, the community, and our constituencies, and providing an offset to some of those costs.
It would create a revenue producing
It's a revenue producing
stream.
thing. And again, it benefits the students, it benefits the property, and it ultimately would benefit the communities. Some of the ideas that are being floated around are additional fields, so the recreational fields, upgrading the fields and then using those to the fields and properties to be leased out to sports organizations or whatever that would want more time. Again, I can think of like the Lancaster fields that are used for the soccer fields and stuff like that as a revenue generating opportunity for that community. So those are some of the ideas. There's requests for proposals or information, or that's in process right now, where the business office at Minuteman has, with the superintendent, put together packages, and they're working with an outside consulting agency to try and generate those types of opportunities. But there's active work, because we know that this, Bolton's not the only one that's in this boat, right? Lancaster and Stowe and Belmont, and they're all feeling the pain. And so we're also actively looking at some of the student bodies that send, or the communities that are sending students that are non-member towns. We're looking at actively recruiting them and having them join. And so that would also, it again, offset some of the non-member towns, because they would be part of the membership, and then they would share some of the capital costs as well.
That changes the allocation, but the total spend is, I think the takeaway from this committee that there needs to be a ceiling on the total spend.
Yeah, so
Eventually that goes somewhere, and it's impacting our budgets.
it is, like I said, I think this year's budget, if you look at the line items and stuff, there are elements with the new programs and the new equipments and moving over that are additional. But those were anticipated. We knew they were coming with building a new school and the requirements for a vocational school and having the technology. You have to purchase those equipment.
Is a big move happening this summer?
It is. So the school will be ready, operating, and going forth in September. So our freshmen that will be entering will be going to a brand new school, and those students that are currently in the former building will be transitioning over. So a lot of excitement. I post to the Facebook page on a regular basis, but feel free to go out to the website, check out. They've got videos and drone flyovers of the space. They've got it all skinned up, and it's coming together. It actually looks like a school. So it's very exciting. But one of the things that for the people at home is really they should be looking at this as a resource in the community. We only send about 11 students a year to that school. And while, the program for the middle school is for all the middle school students, we don't have enough people, in my mind, attending that school. Lancaster, year over year, has increased their sending body. They're roughly around 50 now, Stowe is also increasing their ability. So I don't know what applications will look like, but we've been pretty steady with about 11 students year over year since I joined.
I don't think people realize what an extraordinary experience, you know.
And it's not the Volk school we grew up in.
No,
It's
no,
not, I mean, I
No.
continue to tell parents, you know, we do our best to get our kids into early ed, you know, into preschool, and, you know, some parents will fight to pay for private preschools to give them a head start. This is a head start at a completely different level. It literally, you know, whether it's career, vocational, technical, engineering, medical, I mean, some of the new programs that they're doing, vet tech and.
It's not the programs we had when we
No.
were in school.
I think transportation sometimes is a barrier, because I know we looked at it and I was like, I cannot.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
They don't
it's
want
an-
to be, they don't want their kids on a bus that long, or like, oh, if you can't drive them, you know.
Yeah, but the reality is that most of us who work commute approximately an hour a day. These kids get on the bus and they've got Wi-Fi, and it's not that bad a deal. I mean, all three of my kids have been doing it, and they get up early, they get on the bus, and 99% of the time their homework is done before they hit the schoolyard. And there's a study group on the bus coming home.
Makes
So,
sense.
you know, we live in a rural community. Most of us, if we're working for a major corporation, are driving 45 to 60 minutes a day anyways. It's part of the gearing yourself up, and the kids don't mind it. And the fact that we only send, you know, 10 or 12 people, the bus is pretty spacey. So,
That's true. It's a great school.
it's a great
I think it's
school.
wonderful.
And again, I know, having, you know, seen these kids graduate and whatever, these kids have a leg up. They get to try 9 to 15 different things as far as careers before they're 18. How many of us have changed careers in our lives, or are in a career that we wish we could have changed?
Yeah.
Right? Because we didn't know at the time. And giving them the opportunity to kind of expand and try in a safe environment and fail and learn from that failure and change and get into an opportunity and really find their passions.
Do they train anyone how to be an assessor?
So I don't know, but I'm gonna look into it.
That's a great idea.
But
If they don't,
so-
that
so
they
Entry-level
should.
position
So
coming
I will
online
tell you,
next year.
so my daughter was working, she went on this was before she went off to college, but she went on an expedite, whatever they call them, the.
Internship?
No, the field trip.
Field trip,
So they
okay.
go on a field trip. She was in environmental science over there, environmental engineering. They were doing water quality and stuff like that. So they went to this big water expo in Boston. And the girls that were juniors and seniors dressed to the nines, because they knew that there was potentially an opportunity for internships. So my daughter and a couple of her friends brought their resumes, and they asked for mock interviews, and she landed an internship at Framingham, and she ended up in the water department. And then they knew she was learning, or going to school for engineering, so last year or the year before, they brought her back again, and she was. Although that they were saying that they don't know it, these kids.
There's nothing for the younger.
No, so she sat down with the guy who does it, and he brought in all the maps and assessments from 1964 or whatever, and wanted them all put into the database, and so she spent the summer putting all the stuff in.
Summer internship.
I was just gonna say,
So-
the wheels are just
So
turning.
my
Yeah.
point is that
Conservation.
these
Yeah.
conservation, right, environmental, water assay testing, you know, there's a lot that goes on over there, and the community doesn't use it on. They got a great bakery in the restaurant over at the school. These kids are really cutting edge, and now they've got advanced manufacturing and engineering entertainment studies. They've got the first full fly bridge, which they use in like opera houses and that type of stuff for, and again, I'm not the right person to be conveying this, but this new building is going to have the first in the state, I believe, to have a working fly bridge for, theatrical arts and engineering, lighting, rigging. And the industry is like clamoring for those people. And they're looking at, well, can we get people who are in the industry the opportunity to come to the school? Because it's a full height. The training facilities are kind of mock. This is a full height, engineering facility or entertainment facility with an auditorium and a orchestra pit and the whole deal.
Wow.
It's gonna be amazing. Or it is amazing so far, but when it's finished, it's state of the art. And that's what drew Bolton to Minuteman originally in the 70s, or late 70s, is it was state of the art. So we're back in that same boat. And if we had withdrawn, and tried to get into Assabet or one of these other ones, we wouldn't have the opportunity to be sending our kids there.
See, I just texted my husband that she should go to Minuteman.
Have them do a shadow day or have her check it out.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
And the post-grad program too. That's the other thing too, is for those of us who have graduated or whatever, they've got after-dark programs and post-grad programs. So for those kids who went to Neshoba, but now are thinking about maybe that they want to take a gap year or whatever, they can go through some certification programs.
I do have a serious question about the internship thing, though. So, like, is there a process at Minuteman where, let's say Bolton realized that they had a potential summer project and they wanted to just float it out to the Minuteman population?
Yeah, so we do, so there is a business office.
Yeah.
There is a co-op program and again, you can filter that information to me,
Okay.
or I can get you to the names of any one of the people in the business office that can help facilitate that. But they're always looking for ways to connect the towns. Again, I said this when I first went with you guys years ago. Back in the days, the garden club used to buy all their flowers from them.
All right.
Right, so their horticulture department and stuff like that was all there. Carpentry, the original shed on my property was built by the school. Again, we didn't do that when it needed to be replaced because it was a bigger project than they could do. But again, there's all sorts of services. There's a restaurant. I know the town of Lexington, I think, or Lincoln, had some conservation and water study stuff done that they involved the kids in. So the kids went out onto the Lexington Concord property out there and sampled water and soil samples and ran the assays. Again, it was all part of the learning experience. It may not have been certified, but it gave them an opportunity to get some preliminary results on some of the properties before they went and spent the money.
Yeah.
But again, it's how do we incorporate that more into our community? And I'm all for it. If we've got ideas, we can look at seeing whether or not they can benefit and it be mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
But anything else that you guys questions? Obviously, if you guys have any more questions or whatever, have me back.
And you're sure we can keep this?
Yeah,
Is that right?
absolutely. Yep, I've got a digital copy. If you want the digital copy, just send me an email.
Okay. Thank
All right.
you. Thanks very much.
Nice to
Great
see you guys.
again.
Thanks again.
See you, take care.
Hey,
Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Sorry I kept you so long. No, I'm
All right. So, we have some advisory committee business, but I think we should vote on Minuteman.
It is what it is.
So, the assessment is 630,937. Is there a motion to approve? And seconded by Craig.
Sure.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Before we get into liaison updates, I just wanted to quickly check in about the calendar for the next 2 weeks. So next week, we're meeting with capital planning to hear their recommendations. And then we have several budgets that we need to vote on. We could either do that, we could try to do some of that next Tuesday, or we could sort of save it all for the 18th. But either way, we're gonna need to make sure that we notice it in advance to give people an opportunity to show up. So I wanted to check with you, like, do you think we can plow through capital and then spend some time after that hitting a few of these budgets?
Is it acceptable if we put in the agenda, like every remaining vote that needs to be taken, and then we decide at the meeting that we're only gonna get through one or two, or,
I think you could do
you know,
that, just
and then
review
next week,
budgets
same
to be
list minus
voted
what
on.
we've accomplished.
Yeah, I think
mean, it's a cover.
Yeah, I think what I would still need to do though is make sure that Linda notifies the departments that we might
That's
consider.
the downside is they have a right to be here, and they
Yeah.
don't want to be here, yeah. So we ought to make it more realistic, I guess.
Yes, we
Realistic.
shouldn't call them in. That's what we
Well, like, Board of Health wouldn't come back. They're not gonna come back.
Right.
I mean, Council on Aging might come back.
Library might come back.
Do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're right, though. You have to give them the option.
The assessors might.
They should have that right.
I mean, my feeling, if people are willing to commit to it, I would want to try to get everything pretty much done next Tuesday and save the 18th as like, when Anash comes back from school on the 13th and says I screwed something up, we can fix it on the 18th.
18th or 19th?
Oh, sorry, the 19th, the Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday the 19th.
Now, if on the 19th, we review a proposal and there's still not enough,
Keep in mind, selectmen are voting on the 21st.
that's awful tight, because I mean, what if we don't vote on something? If we don't vote for it, you know, we voted.
Yeah.
What-
I think everything
We have
has to be
no-
done.
This is
escape.
a naive question. In terms of the capital planning, and we've got a list of things, and I don't know what the state of our borrowing is. At what point do we sort of look at the borrowing capability and the,
On Tuesday.
okay? Because
You know,
that's-
kind of look at it holistically.
Yeah,
What do we
yeah,
want to
that's
borrow
what I was
for?
trying
What
to
do
get to,
we,
because,
you know, I hope when you guys are done on Tuesday that you have a list for me of the things that you, as a board, are deciding that you'd like to put forward. I mean, again, selectmen could override you and put whatever they want as their warrant, but I would hope that they would just do what you guys said.
I'd like to sort of get that set. Because I'm
It
not
just feels
sure
like
that-
capital's all over the place.
Capital's all over the place, and then, you know, there is clearly, I don't know what falls off, that we finally, whether there's a, paid off enough that we can bring a couple things in, I have no idea.
Are you back, you're back on 13th?
Yep. Wednesday night.
Would it make sense for us to meet on the 12th and 13th instead of the 12th and the 19th?
You're probably gonna still need to meet the 19th too.
But like,
But I don't think you're gonna get it all done.
Because we may need to kind of merge, you peer rank projects for each
Right,
requester, and then you gotta kind of merge them
Right.
and decide that you're being equitable if you're not doing this here, it's okay.
or set priorities so that
Yeah.
it's clear that this is,
It's
you
not
know,
a,
we'd love to be able to do this, but this is
it's
gonna
not a
fall apart
quick,
if we don't do
here's a
that.
motion and discussion
Yeah.
vote, it's some
Set some priorities.
so
early waiting, friend loading the people.
So should we plan to stick with a discussion of capital next Tuesday?
Definitely gotta do that.
And then on Wednesday,
Yeah.
we can continue our own, if we haven't finished voting on capital, but we should try. If there's anything left over, we can still discuss that amongst ourselves on Wednesday, but really the focus of next Wednesday would be
Remaining
the remaining
budgets.
operating budgets.
I think that's a good idea, and then any last minute stuff you have to do on May 19th. I mean,
Yeah,
May 19th.
May, yeah.
March 19th.
March 19th.
Let's hope we're done by May 19th.
Okay.
You know, hopefully that may be a quick meeting just to wrap things up, because figure the school's voting on March 13th. They're gonna vote that night.
Yep.
So that's the 12th and the 13th.
And I'm assuming we can still start at 6:30 on the
Yep.
12th and the
Yeah,
13th.
that's good.
Okay.
It's nice to be done earlier.
All right.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
During this meeting, we talked about the elimination of the potential traffic enforcement officer. I don't remember talking about that specifically.
So, I'm
We're not
kind of-
eliminating it because we don't have it yet.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We're,
Were you,
Sure.
you were at that meeting when Chief Nelson was here?
Yes.
So basically, he was saying that he agreed that he probably wouldn't put it forward
Mhm.
this year.
Okay.
But in their budget request, they had the $47,000 in there
Okay.
for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we could cut that if we had to, or,
well,
it's-
it was
it's cut.
just, he,
What they brought back that night, it was already out.
It
They
was
had
out.
already taken it out
Yeah.
themselves, so.
That's fine.
and the other thing I'd like to figure out, everybody wants a car. And as far as I can tell, is the turnover
We
rate
need a better system
at the
for the cars.
police department is only so many, like one a year.
Thank
So
goodness.
we really have to look at the vehicle fleet and decide, at what point do you say,
Well, maybe Don gets the master list and, because ultimately, because I did ask, I'm like, who decides? And it's Don.
Yeah.
Don decides where the vehicles go, because he's the manager. And then, but have kind of a system, and if you find, right, maybe proactively you see, ooh, we need an EMT car, an assessor car, and this,
and
maybe-
we're only getting one old,
Right.
thing
So
out of
maybe
the-
then
out of the
it
fire
gives us some
department.
time to look at maybe a used vehicle or, and.
Yeah.
Don and I spoke a little bit about this, and I think, after the budget is passed, with
Yeah,
the
this
selectmen
isn't
on the
something we need to do
21st,
now.
I think he agrees that it would be a good idea to have a meeting with him, capital planning, selectmen, and advisory, just where we all sit in the same room and understand
That's a good idea.
what the fleet plan is.
Yeah, I really do, because,
And that way you're all on the same page.
they actually mentioned one of the, what was?
Assessors.
No, what was the car they were talking
Oh,
about?
the Crown Vic.
The
I
Crown
mean,
Vic.
really.
Yeah.
I think Joe already
That's so
got rid of
old.
the Crown Vic, because the gas tank fell out.
Yeah, it's gone. So they'll need some, I don't know.
And it's like, all right, what are we gonna do? We really have to grow up and decide what's needed.
All right, so any liaison updates?
I can speak for DPW.
Yeah. I'll-
We met, and then today I'm chasing down propane because our propane supplier has assessed us with a hazmat fee, and I'm trying to find the contract to see if they are allowed to, invent fees to.
Or is it now a state reg?
And so I went to Joe saying, Joe, do you have the contract? And Joe said, no, but I'm sending you an email. And so that's why we had this discussion this morning.
Oh,
And I'm sorry you weren't
That's all
there.
right.
Because we do have a regularly first Tuesday of the month meeting with Joe. Last time we met with him, we said we didn't need to do it.
yeah, no,
Anyway,
I had to be somewhere.
So I wandered in there looking for a propane contract, and this is what we talked about. And I'm going to go down through the list that Joe has. And his request for the director's vehicle is still at $53,000 for a Ford F-350 with a plow. The current contract price, on the state list is $50,216.60, and he ginned that up by 5% because it was purchased next year. And we know, but maybe new people listening, the Crown Vic needed a gas tank that cost $500, and I think the vehicle's worth $600 or something. So he's decided not to do that, and he's using his own vehicle, so somehow we need to address transportation for the DPW director, who daily goes out and looks at jobs to make sure they're progressing and that kind of thing.
I think you need something. It's just
So
a
that
matter-
is
it's
still,
just a matter of what.
that's on his capital list. The next thing is the building maintenance vehicle, and that was a more expensive vehicle. Now it's just an expensive vehicle, a Ford Transit for $40,000, and that is to have tools in it, 4x8 sheets of plywood, 4x8 sheets of drywall, things like that, to go fix buildings or whatever need fixing. And at a recent meeting, I shared with Joe that it had been brought up, well, why not get a trailer? And he said, well, what would we pull it with? And the answer is the Ford Expedition that he got from the police department. And the response to that is the running boards are rusting, and it has a, what's that yellow light you get on the dashboard? Check engine light that they can't get to go off. I don't know how they get it inspected, but anyway. And he felt that I'm just telling you where he's coming from. The trailer, if you're gonna use the trailer, even during the daytime, I mean, you need some lighting in there. You got tools, you can't be looking for things with a little flashlight. So you need a trailer with
My minivan's huge.
shelving, and the shelving cost for the Ford Transit is like $4,700. So, it's a reasonable expectation. You'd need a $4,700 added to this pull behind a truck trailer, and you need lighting and everything. And so he came up with, a trailer would be something like $25,000. Now, I'm not saying where exactly that came from, but if we're going to have a vehicle that can haul repair tools and things, the $40,000 is still on the ask list. The next item was the four-wheel drive, $19,000 gross vehicle weight truck. That we can push out a year. He is attempting to, smooth out the request, but.
What was the total for that?
The total for that was $90,000. And he's volunteering as a good citizen to push that out.
If he gets the other two. Right? I mean, kind of.
He didn't make a condition.
No, but
No,
that would be my
You just set a
assumption.
priority.
no promises, threats, or coercion, just
Makes it more likely.
Aquatic Manor culvert work, and Ann and I spoke to him about that. And the way we'd like to go forward with that, and I strongly support this, is $80,000 in this year's budget for the engineering. And then we'll know the scope of it. We'll know a much better
price
price.
tag
We're not going to be
yeah.
guessing. We're not going to be high or low. So 80,000, and then if we have an emergency, at least we've got a design. And it'd be very bad to have an emergency with a problem that we know exists and not have the design. But with the 80,000, we'll have the design. And then a current estimate is the repair would be 420,000, but we'll know what the real number is after we have the design. And
That's a
we'll have
game
some
changer.
quotes.
Yeah.
And this
get ahead of
particular
these things.
culvert, if it's 9.5 feet, and I may be off by half foot, it's a culvert. If it's 10 feet, it's a bridge, and you get a whole new specs and all kinds of ka-ching, ka-ching.
Jesus
So-
Christ. Can't we just
But-
move sidewalls
But
this
there's
way?
also state assistance for bridge repair.
Oh, that's true.
So-
We want it to be a bridge.
So maybe we wanted to be, I don't know.
10 feet, let's make it 10 feet.
Yeah.
Let's get the design. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
The
I mean,
next
that still means
item
it's coming
is
next year, but.
South Bolton Spectacle Hill construction of the culvert. And that's still in the design phase. And we need to leave the $250,000 request there.
Did he say anything about using Chapter 90 money for that?
Oh, boy, when we met, he was talking about Chapter 90.
Yeah, he says there may be some way to do that, or but it wasn't entirely clear to me.
I don't
whether
want
It's a done deal.
I could
All right.
search my notes, but I.
Because that was what Don Lowe mentioned. You were there.
I had
right?
taken it off
Meeting.
the latest iteration because I was told Chapter 90 money, but maybe now he's thinking since we're not doing, I don't know, I need to find out.
Yeah. So
Chapter 90, I think, is very specific as to what it can cover and can't
I
cover.
think Don said because it really is changing the intersection, that it's eligible for Chapter 90 funds.
Okay.
I'll find out.
And whatever, please, make sure Joe's dialed in all
Yes,
this. Yeah,
definitely.
okay. But the 250 is needed because the design is forthcoming. And the next item is the 117 drain pipe inspection, $20,000. Push that out. The public safety roof recoat is $32,000. And that is a way to extend the life of
They're not,
the...
is it 32,000?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's the budgeted ask.
Okay.
And since we spoke to Joe,
He was gonna get somebody to look at it or something.
yeah, he and a factory rep who happens to live in Bolton went up on the roof, and there's a price point. If there is no water penetration of the roof, which we think is the case, and if there is water penetration, and there are ways that they'll test to find that out. And then it's already been coated once, so that changes the price a little bit. But the 32 is a good number. It could be just 30 or a little touch less, but the 32 is a good number for what we know now, because just doing the infrared and the other testing to confirm some things is going to bring it up to 32.
You said it's...
And that has a 20-year warranty. Now, I haven't read the warranty, because some warranties are warranties and some aren't. But 20 years, and if you had to replace the whole roof, you're talking 100 to 125,000. So, if, you know, it seems to make sense. But
You said it's already been recoded once, but the thing's only, what, 9 years old? Do we get a 20-year warranty on the first round?
I think the coating on it now was silver for reflecting heat, not necessarily maybe I misspoke. It's has a coating on it, in other words,
A different type.
but it's a coating for reflecting heat, not for leak.
Okay.
So the
Good
32
question.
stays.
Yeah.
Okay.
The replace the DPW barn roof, that's a shingled roof. That's ask was 58,000. We're going to push that out. And the last request is the $60,000 for the DPW two-way radio system. And right now, when there's a snowstorm or a fire, the DPW borrows radios from the police department. And the police department's radios they don't have as many to loan, I guess, because they're lasting longer or fail, or whatever. Anyway, but this DPW is operating with cell phones. They'd like to drastically reduce the number of cell phones and have radios in the vehicles and everything. They're proposing, rather than the $60,000, to break it into two parts. The first part would be $36,000, and I'll get into the details of that. And the second part would be $21,000 for, I'm adding that, I'm not getting the 56,000. Anyway, I have a bottom line of 56,000, the two parts. Nice graph. Part one would be for 6 vehicles plus a loader, and it would include the repeater equipment, the repeater antenna equipment, base station equipment, the base station antenna equipment, some units for mobile units for 6 of them, and some installation, and FCC licensing, $1,500. So that brings you up to $35,410, and that was rounded to 36. So if we could ask for 36,000 instead of 60, that would be an adjustment to the request.
Okay. I think that's it.
Well, that's good.
I have a question, George, if you don't mind.
Oh, I might know the answer.
Expedition that has the valley running boards,
Yeah.
do you know how old it is, how many miles it is?
You know, I don't, and after the meeting, I got to thinking, well, who uses it? What's
Yeah, I
its
wonder what year it
function?
is.
I mean, I know it can be equipped with a rather sizable plow, I checked after the last meeting. And you can probably replace running boards for a song compared to $50,000. If it's not running out of usable life based on mileage, it's probably a good choice rather than dropping $60,000 on a new car, $55,000 on a new F-350, which is a rather enormous vehicle.
So we should find out how old it is.
I will fire Joe off a question and ask about the condition of the expedition.
I have another favor to ask you two. Could one of you make an effort to touch base with Mike Gore between now and
Monday.
About what?
just to fill him in on your
Oh,
discussions with
Okay,
Yeah, because this will change their whole capital.
okay.
I will, I'll.
Or maybe Joe should send, it should probably come from Joe. Joe tomorrow should update capital, don't you think?
Okay, that would be.
I mean, he's
that's-
it's his department.
That's a clean way of doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And-
Just have him send an
okay,
email
that's-
to everybody.
So
like,
that's
These
Joe.
are my requested changes for my capital, or redo his sheets, I mean,
Yeah, I'll,
And just have them copy you so you have it.
yeah.
I'll ask about the expedition mileage. What else about the expedition?
Just the vehicle age,
Age,
I suppose, wheel repairs.
if it's
I thought you said-
four-wheel drive, I guess it, I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Well, you can ask, but, you say there's a check engine light that can't be extinguished?
Yeah.
I can supply some electrical tape?
We're on camera. Okay, and then I will ask him to update budget request in writing. And see, let's see, it should be to Mike Gore.
And Dawn, I would have Dawn. CC.
Yeah. I would copy Dawn.
Me.
Have Dawn and then Notchka
And
copy.
then Don, and then CC, and then Notchka.
Yeah. I have a question for you two in your capacity as fire department liaisons.
We would like to be talking in person with the fire chief on Friday.
Okay, so when you talk to him, I know I forwarded you some of his concerns about this year's budget.
That's what we're talking about.
Because the more realistic a sense from him you can get, we need to figure out how much we need to increase our advisory reserve. fund.
Oh, you know what? Also, if Joe also needs to update his transfer station budget. That reminds me, he needs to up his request for transfer station.
Is that new news?
Maybe it is. Yeah, it's gonna go up by like 20,000, 30,000, something like that.
What?
Wait, what? The,
Are you saying DPW?
yes, they're gonna be coming for a transfer at the end of this year, and we really realistically should up this budget because
This
it's
is like-
obviously not realistic.
Okay.
They're level funded, but it wasn't realistic.
Is it based on increased trash fees or increased recycling fees or something?
It's less recycling money back and also increased tipping fees.
Okay, so tipping,
What, have we ever raised the sticker cost?
Oh, yeah.
Not in a long time.
They were $1 a piece when they started the transfer station. Now they're $2.50.
How long is that?
I don't know, but it seemed they jumped to $2 and then $2.50 like 6 months later. It was very fast. And I was offended because I never got notifications, so I could go buy a couple of hundred $2 stickers.
Well, at
So
some
that
point,
we need, so that's another budget you'll need to revisit.
okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll ask Joe about that then.
Because it hasn't increased at all since
It's been a while, yeah.
I've started using, I used to have private collection when I was young and foolish.
At some point, at some point, you're gonna end up driving people away. I haven't priced out like Sons of Christoph or any of the other trash hauling.
Well, it'll never make money. It'll never be a revenue generating. It'll always be subsidized by the town. It's just a matter of how much it'll be subsidized.
Sure, but if you end up making it so that it's cheaper to have one of the local trash haulers come and get it.
Well, I don't think we.
It's never gonna be that.
Trust me, it would take a while to get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you got the whole recycle compound, so it's only your trash bag.
Right. Still cheaper than private.
At some point, we're gonna have to figure out what our replenish reserve fund number should be. Because right now, we have $25,000 in there, and I don't think that's gonna be even close.
Let's
As
hope
a
it doesn't-
placeholder, right?
Let's hope it doesn't snow again. Yeah, I'd like to get, that's another
one
reason
for
to get all the
snow.
budgets.
Snow and ice,
Um,
because it comes out of the
approved.
same.
Pardon me?
That's another reason to get all the budgets approved, the operating budgets approved, because then it gets in that, at least we know as far as what the operating budget is when you're looking at capital, you know?
Okay. Wait, so are you saying we should swap the 12th and the 13th?
No, I'm just saying that I wouldn't push it out to the 19th. I think
Okay.
it's a good idea to have it on the 13th. The sooner we have all the, because again, it's like, oh yeah, that's right, transfer station's coming, like, we need to look at each one and make sure, did we talk to everybody? Is this the right number? Is this, you know, because I'd hate to get to last week in March and go, oh my God, we forgot the transfer station increase, and, you know,
Yeah.
just make sure there's nothing like that hanging around that we've like, oh yeah, we'll revisit, and then we don't revisit.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'll be talking to you tomorrow.
I have a meeting in the morning, I'll be in the afternoon.
Okay. Anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
Also move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I'll just
Aye.
go along with the